Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, 'tis the season to shop, and a new study on consumer rage shows that customers are not happy with the products they're buying and the service they're receiving. We'll hear about ASU's Indian Legal Program, which is now in its 25th year of educating American Indians. And also tonight, a look at a new exhibit of map art. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. With the holiday shopping season now upon us, we thought we'd look at a new study on customer rage. The research was designed in part by ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business, and it shows an increasing displeasure with the entire shopping experience. Here to talk about the study is Professor Mary Jo Bittner, Executive Director of ASU's Center for Services Leadership. Good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Great to be here.
I just find this stuff fascinating, especially this time of year when you go out there among the masses and you just see stuff, you're just trying to figure it out. A survey on customer rage. Why?
Well, we've been doing this now this is the sixth wave of this study. Actually, it started way back in 1976. The first study was done, and we've done the last 5 waves since 2003, really to track and see why and how customers respond to the failure of products and services, whether they're more satisfied, less satisfied over the years, and just how they react.
Define customer rage.
Well, the way we define it technically
Yes.
is those customers who have a problem with the products and service, and when they complain, they're very upset or extremely upset about how those problems are handled. Those are people that have customer rage.
So it's more than I'm just not happy with the
Right.
service or I'm not happy with the product. It goes beyond that.
Yes, it goes way beyond that. It's that I'm really very upset or I'm extremely upset with the way this has been handled, and I'm experiencing some sense of anger, and we call it rage.
Yeah, okay. So what are customers most peeved about?
Well, in terms of the types of products they're most peeved about, it would be really the satellite TV, internet, cell phones, anything really communication related, our electronics, all of the things that are really, really important to us. And when those things aren't working right, people get on the phone, they complain to the providers, and what they're upset about is that oftentimes it takes them a lot of time. They waste a lot of time getting those problems solved, getting even an answer to their question. They might have to talk to, and the average is 4 people. They have to call 4 times to get a problem solved. And so just wasting their time, feeling it's not worthwhile, dealing with automated phone lines, those are the things that really get people upset.
The wasting time thing is just, it gives me almost shivers to think about having
Right.
to make certain calls, because I just figure the next 2 hours of my life are gone.
Right.
Just sit there and just watch paint dry.
Exactly. And being passed around too,
Yes.
from one person to another, and having to repeat your story, and then maybe not getting satisfied in the end. And that's the whole point, I think, when we look at how many people are actually satisfied with how their complaints are handled. There's only 20% of the people who complain about a problem are completely satisfied with how that was handled.
Well, now, is that a reflection of the customer, the people, or are companies actually trying to do the best they can with this kind of response?
Well, I think companies are trying. Companies know that if they satisfy, it's kind of common knowledge among business people and companies that if you satisfy a customer that's had a problem with you and you do a good job of it, they're going to be more loyal. And so all companies want loyal customers, and they want to try to solve those problems. But what's happening is they've got a lot of good ideas about it, but it's just not being implemented well, and customers perceive, in fact, many customers perceive that they get nothing when they complain. They think nothing has been done for them. And what they really want, and it's some really simple things, they would like an apology. They'd like somebody to explain, what's gone wrong. They would like the company to say, we won't do this again. We understand. Let us see what we can do. And a lot of those things, customers perceive that they just don't get that. And so it's very frustrating.
I found that fascinating, that apology, something as simple as an apology, that really does help.
It does. It does. In fact, it can almost double the level of satisfaction. If you just apologize, or you give an explanation, or do something that doesn't really cost any money.
So, and you mentioned loyalty for a second there, that the loyalty does hang in there when at least you get an apology or an explanation. If you're not satisfied and you were a loyal customer, are you out the door?
You very well may be, and you're much more likely to be out the door if your complaint was not satisfied at all, or even if it was satisfied sort of. You're much more likely to leave. You're much more likely to never come back than if you were satisfied, obviously. But even you're more likely to leave than if you never complained at all.
Interesting.
So that's kind of the new finding this time in this particular wave of the study. We didn't find this in the past. In fact, back in 1976, what they found was that if you just opened the door and let somebody complain, they'd be more likely to come back whether or not you did anything about it. That's not true anymore. These days, if you let people complain and you handle it poorly and they're dissatisfied with how you handled it, they're much more likely to leave than someone who never complained at all.
Are people today much more likely to complain than they have been in the past?
They are more likely to complain. They are more likely to, but there's still a lot of people that just don't bother.
Yeah.
Because they figure, hey, like you said earlier, I'm going to waste 2 hours. I might not get anything anyway. So why don't I just forget it? It's not that important.
Were you surprised? I mean, judging from some of these numbers, 32% reported problems in this area in 1976. 45% in 2011, 50% now. It's not getting better.
No.
Is it not getting better, or are we perceiving that we're just not getting better service?
I think what's happening is a couple of things. One is that the products and services that we have today compared to 1976 are much more complex. They're technical, they require integration of various products and services to work right. They're technical. They're very much more complicated than what we had in 1976, and they keep getting more so. And then I think also people's expectations are rising. We tend to be more demanding, I think, just in general. Mm-hmm. So the combination of those two things, I believe, results in us, having more problems today than we did even 10 years ago.
The technology, I think, is interesting because in a lot of those cases, if your car's not working or something, you have an idea of why, or you think,
right.
maybe there's a guy down the street, a shade tree mechanic or something. But for so many of these devices and things, we're powerless. There's nothing we can do right now.
We don't understand them, and sometimes we feel like when we call in that the provider doesn't understand them either, or sometimes they don't. Sometimes the problem is very complex and they're not sure where the actual issue is either. So the complexity has, I think, created a lot of these issues.
Yelling is up 11%.
Yes.
Cussing is up 6%. Again, is that a reflection more on society or on the fact that we're not getting good service?
I think that it's interesting to see that that number has gone up so much just in the last couple of years. So I think part of that may just be the general environment that we're in right now. People are frustrated by a lot of things. They're kind of emotional, and maybe that's reflected in some of that increase. But it's, and we hear that that's more prevalent in society in general, people swearing and yelling at each other.
Yeah.
So it may be a reflection of that as well.
So a business looks at this study and they want to do right.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get it right. They want their customers to be happy. They're willing to go the extra. What do they take from this study?
Well, I think that, first of all, I want to say that there are a lot of companies that do this right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the average, across the board, kind of what we see on average. And there are many companies that really do get it right. What they need to do, and what they can learn from a study like this, is to try to handle the problem on the first try. They need to invest in the training of those employees, give them the power to do that, and try to not keep customers waiting, and try to just get things done quickly. And it does take an investment, though. And I think that companies can get it right.
Do you find that companies, when they get this kind of an information, for the most part, they do take it seriously, or is this kind of thing sloughed off? I guess.
It varies.
Yeah.
Some companies take it very seriously and have invested a lot in trying to improve customer service and are very successful with it, and it pays off for them.
Yeah.
They keep their customers, they build their business, they've got a lot of loyal customers, they get great word of mouth. We tell people when we have great service, right?
Yeah.
So it pays off. But there are companies that don't think it's, still think of it as a cost and something they shouldn't really invest in.
I asked what businesses should take from this. Last question, what should we as consumers take from this kind of information?
Well, I think that one thing I would say is that we as customers probably need to have a little more patience with these service providers that we go to, because the frontline folks don't typically, you can't really blame them for the problems. But I think that we need to have some patience, realize that we have very complex services that are difficult to make work right.
Well, it's very interesting information, and especially as we all wade out into the deeper waters here coming up this
Yes.
weekend. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
At the entrance of Bullhead City's Community Park on State Route 95 is a marker honoring northeastern Arizona's vital relationship with the Colorado River. For nearly 30 years, in the mid-1800s, commercial steamships served the mining communities of northern Arizona, hauling supplies from as far downriver as Yuma. Cargo was unloaded at nearby Hardyville, often returning downstream with barge loads of local ore. Bull's Head Rock, from which Bullhead City derived its name, was located just upstream. The escarpment was used as a navigation marker and the point where Mojave Indians forded the river. Bull's Head Rock was submerged in 1953 with the building of Davis Dam. Today, the Colorado is still Bullhead City's lifeblood. Jet skis have replaced the steamships, and Laughlin, Nevada's casinos just across the river have replaced the mines, mining tourist wallets instead of the ore from the mountains.
Arizona State University's Indian Legal Program is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. The program was established to provide legal education and scholarship in the area of Indian law, along with public service to tribal governments. Joining us tonight is Rebecca Sosi, Regents Professor of Law and Executive Director of the Indian Legal Program, and Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community President Diane Enos, a graduate of the Indian Legal Program. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. 25 years now. Let's talk about right now the Indian Legal Program. What is the focus of the program?
The focus of our program is on educating all of the students at Arizona State University and all of the students throughout the nation really on the importance of Indian law as a subject to study in law school. It's vitally important in Arizona because obviously we have many tribal nations here in the state, and over a quarter of the land, I believe, within the boundaries of Arizona is tribal land, and I'm so honored that President Enos could join us tonight.
Indeed, and as far as what the program trains students to do, is it a variety of things? Is it focused on legal issues? What do you see? What happens here?
Well, federal Indian law is a very specialized subject because we deal with sovereign nations that also have their own tribal law systems. So we actually teach the federal law that governs the relationship as well as the tribal law systems that are represented in Arizona tribal courts. And we also talk about the legislation that affects the government-to-government relationship. We have a clinic that trains students to represent tribal clients, both in tribal courts and also administrative and federal processes.
That difference between the legal systems, that's a biggie, isn't it?
It certainly is, but I wanted to add also to what Professor Sosi said. If you're a student at the Arizona State University College of Law, and you are going to be an attorney, you learn everything that everybody else does. There isn't a segregated curriculum per se. So when I went there, I had the option to take Indian law courses, Professor Bender. I took some other courses that specifically relate to Indian law, but we go through the same thing as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And we have to take the same law school exams, we have to take the same basic courses, contracts, constitutional law, and those things. So we're not exempt from anything.
Oh no, I don't think anyone would think you would be. I think they'd also say, but you got some other issues here as well
yes.
that you really need to be on top of.
Absolutely, that's true.
And what are some of those issues?
Well, for tribal governments, you have courts, tribal courts. Professor Sosi referred to that because we have our own legal systems. We are sovereigns. Of course, the Supreme Court says we're dependent domestic nations, so we have some differences of opinion there. But with the sovereignty that we have to protect it. And everything that we do as tribes is geared towards being aware of what those threats to our sovereignty are. And in setting up our court system and setting up all the programs and protecting our territories, that's something that we have to keep in mind constantly.
Is that an ever-changing kind of a situation, or are some of these issues pretty strong year after year?
In Arizona, because of the nature of tribal land bases here, the Arizona issues are ongoing, and mm-hmm. the economic development on the reservations, of course, right now is at its height. So the issues about how you do business on the reservation, about sovereign immunity, about resources and the use of resources. Zoning that might apply on the reservation is very different than off the reservation. So there are a number of interjurisdictional issues that we work with in this state.
As far as the students, describe the students, where they come from, what they're looking to do, and what they're looking to be.
I love our students. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary and the room was filled with our alums. We have over 250 alums of the Indian Legal Program. Most are Native. We are open in terms of our offerings, our class offerings, to both Native and non-Native students, but they are from Indian nations all over the country and even all over the world, really. We've had students come to us from Canada and from New Zealand, from other areas, and they bring a wonderful cultural mix of views about Indigenous identity and rights. I love working with them, and they are spectacular students.
It certainly sounds like it. We've got a former student right here, and I want to ask you, when you went into the program, what were you looking for? When you graduated from the program, did you find what you were looking for?
Well, when I went to the program, I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what to expect, and I really just wanted to be a lawyer. But I also knew that whatever I did, I was going to work with my community and serve my community, which is Salt River. So I went into law school just totally unprepared for the shock of it. Your books are that thick. Your textbooks are that. And I would walk home after class and carrying all this heavy textbooks, really. And it consumes you. Your life is consumed for 3 years, totally. And then after that, there's the bar exam. Your life is consumed for months. You do nothing but study at home and study at the library and just live in a cocoon so that you can pass the bar.
Yeah. But once you pass the bar, once you get back to the nation, now you've got the degree, you've got the ability to practice here. Because of the Indian Legal Program, did you see opportunity where there may not have been opportunity before?
Well, I was an elected official of my community, so I couldn't work for my community. But being an elected official, I was able to understand some of the issues that came our way in the legal realm. I worked for the county for several years after I left a small boutique law firm, and did some immigration law first, did some contracts, some basic criminal law. And then I went to the public defender's office, where I was there for about more than 11 years and got a lot of tremendous practice. All the while being an elected official, and the more information, the more practice you get in the field of law, the more you understand. Because someone said, I think it was Justice Frankfurter, the law is a seamless web. Professor Bender said that to me the first week I was in law school, and I always remembered it. The law touches everything.
Yes. So students, we talked about the students before and how they're from all over and they come in with so many different ideas. When they leave, what do you find that they want to do most?
Most of our students want to practice in some area that relates to federal Indian law and policy or tribal law. So the majority of our students will go to work either for the tribal governments, for the federal government, or even the state governments working in law and policy positions where they can undertake advocacy on important federal Indian law and policy and tribal law issues.
With that in mind, what kind of partnerships are you seeing now with Native governments and Native organizations?
The Indian Legal Program had a three-part mission when it was established. So in addition to educating students, outreach to tribal communities was a very important part of the mission. And we have been really fortunate in this state to have the support, for example, of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community of Gila River, Fort McDowell, Auchin, the Navajo Nation. We have partnerships with all of them that support our students, and also the development of the infrastructure through conferences, externship placements for the students, a variety of activities. So we work very closely with the tribal nations here.
Specifically your nation, what kind of relationship do you have here? And is it just, you just watch these kids come out and go?
Oh no, we have some internships. Some of them we work with the clinic, the law school clinic, and do some practice in tribal courts. And I think right now we've got probably over 19 alumni working for my community in lots of different areas: prosecutor, defense, court solicitor, the family advocacy center, in the general counsel's office. Just a a whole lot of expertise coming out of the Indian Legal Program.
Real quickly, before we go, where does the Indian Legal Program go from here?
I think the future is wide open. There are always issues about jurisdiction in the courts. But to me, the real importance is the sovereignty of the Indian nations, both as a political matter and as a cultural matter. And you see that synergy worldwide around Indigenous rights.
The threats continue, and they're going to get worse.
Well, it's good to have you both here, and the success of the Indian Legal Program. Congratulations on that, and thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
A new art exhibit in downtown Phoenix features over 50 pieces from established artists to a 5-year-old. Producer Christina Estes and photographer Juan Magana take us inside the University Center at ASU's College of Public Programs.
It's easy to rush through the lobby and down the halls without noticing what's covering the walls. But then you'd miss this.
This exhibit is called Mapping, Movement, and Memory.
3 floors of artwork celebrating the meaning and purpose of maps.
When you send out the call to artists, you don't necessarily know what you're going to receive, and that is part of the excitement in being involved in the community.
Curator of art Carrie Tovar put out the call to the public and received more than 50 pieces, including 2 featuring motherhood.
And she did present motherhood with a mother and child superimposed on a map, a present-day map, and then she also did a wonderful collage of an old world style painting of mother and child superimposed on an old map that comes from the 1400s.
Another professional artist used the movement theme to highlight immigration.
The figures that you see kind of floating up are floating up from Mexico to the United States, and he has entitled it Soaring Dreamers.
Carrie combined her love of maps and butterflies to create this piece.
It was really a fun and cathartic experience for me because I got to look up the maps and relive all of my travels just by even looking at them and remembering the places that I was able to visit and landmarks. And so it was really a nice experience to be able to participate myself.
The youngest artist, just 5 years old, maps movement another way.
She is an avid performer. She likes to dance and she loves music, and she has parents who are very musical and artistic. And so she mapped out with little stick figures dance moves with little arrows showing how you're supposed to move. And then underneath it, she drew musical notes to accompany the movement.
If you're looking for the best creme brulee in Paris, hop on the Metro line and follow this hand-drawn map to get to St. Paul. That's where you'll look for the green awning.
This is one of the submissions to the exhibit, and it is a map of Phoenix, and she's done the outline of Phoenix with all the individual areas and neighborhoods.
This artist used
1,
needlepoint
2, 3,
to plot
4,
out the
5,
places
6, 7, 8.
where she's cried.
There's one up here. I always wonder about that little floating cry up here at the top, but most of them are right around here, which seem to be Central Phoenix.
Building a replica of downtown Phoenix helps students at Phoenix Day School learn about architectural designs and create their own. Straws, glitter, and silver paint make up the crown on top of City Hall.
Art is a wonderful thing to share.
While many artists focus on specific cities, states, or countries, the 4th graders behind this one take us to the ice cream cone-shaped Rainbow Island, home to Candyland, Root Beer River, and the Talking Animal Farm.
I'll figure it out. I'll let you know next week.
All right, sounds good. We're hoping that people just notice it. It's here for them, And even if they're waiting for class or waiting for something else, maybe just to take a look down the hall. And what I hope for each exhibit is that they wonder what it's about. And then maybe, in my perfect world, I would love for them to think of what they themselves would contribute.
The exhibit is free and open during regular business hours through December 3rd. The next exhibit is scheduled for January with a focus on community portraits. Thursday on Arizona Horizon, an Art Beat special. We'll take a look at the metal artwork of sculptor Kevin Carone, and we'll see how local artist Laura Spalding takes everyday urban street scenes and turns them into art. That's on the next Arizona Horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening and a great Thanksgiving.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.